Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much again for taking the time. I know it's a lot in a little bit of time. I'm hoping my internet behaves for me today. It does not look very promising. I am going to check to make sure. I want to keep an eye on it just to make sure my internet does well for you guys. Now, earlier it was just awful. My connection has been awful, and I'm even using hotspots. So, just checking to make sure everything is going okay. Let's see. It doesn't look great, but that's okay. As long as you guys get the content, that's the most important part. So I hope everybody is having a great day so far. And I know it's over for many of you. I'm here at my childcare center right now. That's in the background. It's kind of blurred. We're under construction, so I'm going to leave it a little blurred. But scenery is different because I actually had to come in to take care of some stuff at my childcare center here. And so I'm here instead of my normal studio where I bring this live to you guys. So we are experiencing part 2 now of the launch. And I'm sorry, my internet is pretty bad right now. So I do apologize if I drop on and off. Let me see. Because it is just not doing well right now. Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. If one of my staff could let me know in the chat, as I am showing, I keep getting a pop-up that says my internet is unstable. And if it isn't, we can, even if you guys text me, let me know. But if it is, I can just try and hop on to, I can try and hop onto a hotspot instead if this isn't going to work. You can hear me. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to get going. I don't want to waste your guys' time. I see just, okay, cool. So if it's working just fine, I don't know. It's my whole city. Earlier today, I was at home and it didn't work very well. Now I'm at Zooin and it's still not working very well. So no matter what we do, it just doesn't seem to be working right now. So thank you guys again for joining me for part 2. I am going to actually share my screen so that you guys can see what I'm looking at when I talk about the, let's see, share screen, and let me see. It wants to see what I want to share with you guys. The workbook. So I'm going to share my screen really quick, and you guys should be able to see the workbook here. So this is what the workbook looks like. In case you guys don't have it, be sure to let your concierge know. And if you don't have a concierge, make sure to get one. We do provide, my company is here to serve you and make sure that you're getting the best out of all of this. So make sure that you ask for the workbook, but this is what it looks like here. And earlier today, I went through part 1 of the workbook with you guys, which is why can't we hire, right? So if you go through the video from earlier today, you'll see that we talked about all of these reasons why we're having such a hard time hiring right now. In part 2, today, what we're going to talk about is standing out from the crowd. Last year, and I started this series last year, and last year, my theme for the year was being a category of one, right? But what does that really mean? So I'm going to show you basically as I'm doing this, I do literally do this based on what I am looking at in this workbook. So make sure that you have the workbook because you're going, as we're talking through, I really want you guys to be thinking about these things and what is going on, right? How do you stand out from the crowd? What are your strengths? And what are your weaknesses? So let me stop sharing my screen really quick and so I can talk to you guys. So basically what I want to really let you guys know is knowing your strengths and weaknesses is very important, right? Knowing who you are so that you can attract those right people. Earlier, if you were watching, I talked to you about how the work we do is so very, very important. We do the most important work in the world. And when people were surveyed on job satisfaction, there's a huge study done years and years ago, and it was basically conducted for Fortune 500 companies on how can we really recruit and retain these really high level employees. Everybody was thinking, of course, it's going to be money, benefits, but the number one thing that people wanted was life satisfaction. They wanted to know that they were making a difference in the world. They didn't care so much about the things that we think, like the money, the insurance, things like that. They wanted to know that the work that they do with their life is actually making an impact, that they are making the world a better place. So when you really think about that, we can give them that. As early childhood educators, we are forming 90% of the human brain. So I really want you to step back and think about your current staff, or think about people who may not even work for you anymore, right? We all have that staff member who couldn't get along with others no matter what, right? They were just combative. They couldn't take constructive criticism. Every time you tried to correct them with anything, they had an excuse, or they would get angry at you. You would dread counseling them or coaching them in any way, right? Well, those traits in that person were actually formed in the first 5 years of that person's life, right? The time management, the person who can never be on time for anything, the person who can't cope, they just break down and cry over everything. That is from the first 5 years of life. That was all formed. So, those ideal things that every employer is looking for, we are giving that to children every single day. So when you help people understand that, and you help them see the bigger picture of the job that they're going to be doing if they work for us, they are way more excited to come work for you. So what I would suggest is, when you're talking to people about trying to recruit them, right? Or when you're posting a job, you really want to focus on those superpowers that we have in ECE. Okay. So I want you to think about being out in the world, and you're a candidate, right? You're looking for a job, and you go on to monster.com, or you go on to Indeed, or you go on to one of the several different websites that we used to put our job openings, right? And typically what you're going to see in ECE is somebody's going to post, Leapfrogs Learning Center is looking to add a 2-year-old teacher to our exciting team, right? Something like that, right? And let me know in the comments how many of you guys have put an ad out there like that. Like, we are hiring for an infant position. Hours are from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, right? That is the typical way that we post jobs. But I'll be the first to tell you that doesn't work. You're not going to attract the people that you want to. And the other thing I really want to tell you is that right now, there's 1,000 jobs out there open, and you're wondering why you're not getting applications. Well, imagine what you're competing with, right? You are lost in a sea of job openings. Your job openings are just lost out there. So, in order to really make a difference, you have to stand out from the crowd. So, now imagine you're the job candidate and you see the headline: do you want a job where you can impact world change? Or do you want to change the world, right? And then they click on it, and your advertisement says something like, would you like to work for an organization that is helping change the trajectory of the world, right? And then you can just really get into detail. During our last launch, we got some amazing feedback from you guys. A lot of you sent me rough drafts of job postings that you guys had, and they were wonderful. I was so impressed with the descriptions that you guys put out there. Do you want to work for a program that is literally dictating the course of the world, right? Things like that were coming out of it. It was amazing. I loved it. But that is what we're doing. We are literally dictating the course of the world. When we talk about, in our day and age right now, how important equity is, and diversification, and all of that, we literally are helping to form the children's brains in these areas, right? This is change that we can make. We are the conduits of change, because these children, even though they may not remember us, they may never remember our names and know who we are, the parts of their brain that we are helping form are going to be with them forever. It is going to dictate how they get along with others, how they cope, how they problem solve, right? The intricacies that they're willing to deal with when it comes to problem solving, their ethic, of so many things that you and I are doing. So when we help the rest of the world see that, suddenly this job is kind of exciting and it's the most important job in the world, which it is, right? But we need to let the public know that. You need to believe in it from your center, right? And know how important the work is that you're doing. So when you put that in perspective, I want you to rethink when you're posting for a job. How are you going to write it now, knowing this? How are you going to write the position that your teachers in your classroom right now, in my rooms are down that way, right? I'm in my child care center right now. My teachers that are working as we speak, they're doing the work that could literally change the course of my community, right? My goal as a child care business coach is to touch 1,000 child care centers. And my reason for having this goal is because I know if I can touch 1,000 child care centers, and even if those centers only have 10 employees each, and each of those employees are only dealing with, let's say, 10 children, I've just touched 1 million children's lives, right? Just by being a child care business coach. I can help to make sure 1 million children are having better futures. That is the work you do, you guys. That is how powerful it is. And that's why we need to let the world know that it is this powerful, and you won't have a hard time attracting employees. So when you're posting for this, I want you to think about what is your superpower. If you haven't created your vision yet, you have to create your vision and your mission. It is a non-negotiable if you really want to attract the right people, because it's so important for you to understand and know, what are you trying to hire for? What are you really trying to focus on, right? You've got to know who and what you're trying to do. If you don't know what your superpower is, you're not going to be able to advertise for it. So I want you to ask yourself, what is it that your center specializes in? I love right now, one of the clients I'm working with is she's actually starting a forest school. And it's an amazing concept of classrooms that actually take place in the forest. It is just an amazing concept, right? And if you look up, I believe Finland is one of my favorite school districts in the world. They have amazing schools. A lot of their kindergarten classes take place 100% outdoors. That could be, as she is forming this school and really transitioning her center into a forest school, that's going to be her superpower, right? So if she's advertising, she can say something about, how do you want a job where you're helping instill a love for nature in the lives of children while making an impact on the future of our, our community, whatever, however big you want to go. It can go as big as you want to go. But you want to really look at, what is it that you specialize in? If you belong to something like High Scope, Montessori, Raggio, one of those really amazing, wonderful curriculum styles, that might be your superpower. Most of the time, you're going to say things like, come join our team at Little Learners Montessori. Learn from the amazing Montessori curriculum, right? But 90% of people, even EC professionals, don't know what that means. So I want you to think of, what is it that makes, if you're Raggio, what is it that makes Raggio special, right? I love Raggio. It's one of my very favorite curriculum styles. We are emergent curriculum at my center because I call it the Americanized version of Raggio. Basically, I would probably put it out there. Do you want to help? I don't advertise based on my curriculum style, but if I were going to, I would say something like, do you want to help children really get a good grasp and understanding about around the world? Do you want to help form learning that will last a lifetime? Something like that, right? Because Raggio is really based on that integrated learning that really helps children learn throughout their day, which makes it concrete learning, right? So I'm going to look at, what are the strengths of my curriculum style, and that's what we're going to sell. So you can do a little bit of both, right? You can come in and say, do you want to help change the world by helping form 90% of the human brain? We are willing to train. And then go into, we specialize in, and explain it. Don't say things like, we are a Raggio Center, we are a Montessori, right? I want you to tell them, what does that mean? Because too many people don't understand those terms. So you're going to really get into depth on, what do these terms mean? That is the most important part, is really explaining it. In order to do this, you have to know what your vision is. If you don't know your vision, you aren't going to be able to do this, right? I have some podcast episodes on vision and some other resources. So I'm not going to get too deep into vision, but I am going to talk a little bit about it because it is vital. And when it comes to really getting the right people to you, you have to really understand what your vision is. So if you haven't done your vision, really take that time. If you're one of my clients and you haven't done your vision yet, make sure you do the vision training I have in our membership. I have tons of information because I understand that vision is the foundation for your everything you do is going to be about the vision, right? No matter what it is, if it's how you choose your curriculum style, how you're staffing, how you're enrolling, everything should be coming from your vision. So it is absolutely vitally important that you really understand your vision, your company's vision. So just going over just a bird's eye view of vision, okay? Think of your vision as your final destination, right? Like, this is where I want to be. This is my dream. This is what I want to see. If you had a magic wand, what would the outcomes be, right? What are the outcomes of the work that you do? For me, my vision is my life purpose. It is why God put me on this planet, right? For those of you who are new to me, I am a God girl. Everything I do has to revolve around what God called me to do. My vision for my life is going to be both my companies. Okay. And for me, I know that God brought me here to make sure that all children, regardless of their socioeconomic status, have the ability to be in a high quality childcare program, right? Every child, regardless of where they were born or who they are, should be able to obtain high quality research based care and education, right? And at the core of my vision is because I really believe that all children deserve to be loved. All children deserve love, and they're not getting it, right? So everything I do, where it's at my childcare center, or if it's here with childcare business professionals, or on my podcast, everything I do is going to be, because that is the umbrella that everything falls over, is making sure that all children are receiving the love that they deserve, right? So how do I do that? I do that by providing high quality care and education, and teaching other people out there how to have successful businesses that will also provide high quality care and education. Because basically, high quality care and education means that children are getting loved and nurtured, right? So now that I know that, I format my program around that. And then I put that out into the world. And I let new people who are going to come work for me know, this is what we do. Do you want to be a part of it? Do you want to make sure, when I'm hiring for this company, Childcare Business Professionals, I basically put it out there. Do you want to make sure that all children, regardless of their socioeconomic status, get that care and education, right? My community knows that that is what my childcare center stands for. So I have a giant wait list because of that, right? And that's why I have not had to post for job openings at my childcare center in years. Years. We have not actually had to put it out there to the world that we are hiring, because so many people come to us and we know the type of people we are going after, right? So just keep that in mind. I don't post for job openings. I don't need to. And that's because I am so laser focused on what my vision is, that I know exactly the type of person I want to hire, right? So when I'm that laser focused, and I attract them, we attract them here. The other thing is, my staff knows. My staff understands, has a very thorough knowledge of my vision. So when they're meeting people in the world, they know the type of people we were looking for, and they're bringing people in who, like, hey, you guys, you would be a great fit to come work for us. You should just come and check it out. So when we do have a need, we never have to publish for it, because we are just so honed in on that vision. Even for this company, Childcare Business Professionals, my employees can tell you not a single one of them applied for the job with Childcare Business Professionals. Every single one of them was recruited by me. And now my team is actually recruiting people, right? I have my first hire coming up that was recruited by a team member because they understand and they are so laser focused on my vision that they when they're out in the world or when they know certain people, they like that person, they're a fit, we need to bring them in, let's go get them, right? And we go after them. That's how we do it. That's why I don't. But you have to know your vision in order to sell your staff on it, and you have to teach it to your staff, right? They have to know your vision, they have to also buy in, right? So that leads me to the next topic we'll be talking about, which is about your values. You have to have a very strong set of values that you are laser focused on also and clear. And that will really, really help you to understand who you want to um, recruit, right? So before I get that, I'm just looking at my notes and I am getting ahead of myself a little bit. Looking at my notes here, you also want to make sure that you know your strength, but you also need to know your weaknesses. What are the roadblocks that will stop people from wanting to enroll in your center, right? Whatever those roadblocks are, we can whatever the I'm sorry, my son started calling me and he's got me off track now. See, he's just got my attention going. So whatever those roadblocks are, you need to address those straight off the bat, right? We know in our industry, our biggest roadblock is we cannot afford to pay what people deserve who do this job. Our teachers deserve what pro athletes get paid, right? But we can't afford to give them what they deserve. So that is one of our biggest roadblock. Okay. So how can you overcome that threat or that roadblock? That is our biggest weakness. What else can you give them? Can you give them discounted childcare? Are there other incentives that you can do? Can we get them? I mean, you guys just even the minors things, memberships to programs that might help them, right? There's so much more that we can do. Can we give them mental health days off? Something I just implemented for my staff. My one of the newest things I'm doing for my childcare center staff is they're getting either the week before or after Christmas paid off on top of their normal vacation time, just to show them that I appreciate them, right? That I really care and appreciate them. They're also able to earn quarterly mental health days off, right? That are paid. So little things like that, where yes, I know your salaries aren't high, but this is what I do to show my staff appreciation. The other thing is really understanding and realizing that yes, it's our biggest weakness, but it's not in the top 4 reasons that people get a job. It's not in the top 4 reasons that people stay in a job, right? So know your weaknesses, face them, and to be honest with you, kind of get over them, right? Just see where you're overcoming it. And a lot of times we don't realize that with that low pay, we really are overcoming that in so many different ways because of the work that we do. So we have to really just not let that become an obsession for us. Look at the opportunities on those things, right? What strengths do you have that offset those weaknesses? And then what are the threats? I again want you guys to think of your competition as all the other employers out there, not just in childcare centers, right? So what obstacles are we going to overcome other than when not just thinking about pay, but what other obstacles and threats are out there? Who else is hiring? What makes you better than them, right? And I can guarantee you, we are better than Starbucks. EC is better than Starbucks. We are better than McDonald's. Yes, they pay more. So what makes you better? That is what you're selling people on. How are you going to get them to apply for your job and not theirs, right? How can you make people proud and want to work for you? That's where I want you to really change your mindset. You got to start seeing your center in a whole new light for that to happen. So now I would like to move on to the part. Normally, I do this workshop in a 4-day period, so trying to squeeze everything in or I do it over 5 days. So trying to squeeze everything in into 2 days throws me off a little bit. So now we are going to talk about values. I do not pay or hire based on experience or education. This always shocks people. I don't believe in it, honestly. I can teach people how to become a teacher. I can give them the education I would like them to have, right? I can help them get their education. I can teach them how to be a great teacher, but I cannot give somebody values, and I cannot change who their character is. People, your values and your character are just who you are. That is a part of you, right? So it is very important for you to make sure that you are really focusing on aligning people with your values. This means that people are really going to have to understand your values. And that means you really need to know what your values are, right? So when you look at your center as a whole, I want you to think about what kind of culture do you want within your center, right? Um, the culture of a center, think in terms of like Disney versus Six Flags, right? Everybody knows the culture of Disney, it's magical, right? They just create this amazing, high quality, amazing experience. Think about Disney's rides and whatnot. Without the experience and the magic and the theatrics around them, they'd actually be pretty boring, right? Think of Small World. You're just floating on a boat going pretty small or slow. There's nothing amazing about it. It's all the theatrics that are around it that just leave you in awe and wonder, right? Everything they do is next level and their customer service is out of this world, right? Whereas Six Flags, on the other hand, is not quite like that, but they have like the big thrills, the fast rides, things like that. Um, when a few years ago we had seasons passes to Six Flags for my kids because we live not too far from one, and but we still took a trip to Disney that year. And my oldest son, at the time he was only about 12 at the time, actually came to me and said, "Mom, one trip to Disneyland is worth 10 trips to Six Flags." That is a brand experience. That is the culture of the company that makes it that way. So when you're thinking about your brand, it's the feeling, right? That it ensues. What do people feel? What do they know? What is your company's name synonymous with? Another great one is Target, right? Think about Target versus Walmart. They both have a brand. They're both going after, well, I'm going to throw in a third one in there. Let's think of Walmart, then you've got Target, and then you have Macy's, right? Or Bloomingdale's, somewhere like that. That brand experience, if you're going to go buy a t-shirt from Walmart, Target, or Macy's, you expect a certain price tag, you expect a certain quality, and you're going to expect a certain type of fashion between the three, right? They're all three different, all on different levels, and it's a different experience. None is better than the other, really. It all depends on you as the consumer, what you want. That is the same thing I want you to think about with your own brand, right? I want you to really think about when you're creating these experiences, what is it that you want out of this experience? So, for example, one of the things I've always used to illustrate this, because it's the easiest and it's something I want you to keep in mind, is imagine you have a couple of families that go out and you've got two moms at a softball game together. And one of the moms is looking for childcare. And she asks the other moms, "Do you have any recommendation?" I want you to think about that other parent. What would you want them to say about your center, right? How do you want them to say? What feelings do you want them to have? What kind of, "Oh, they are amazing. They do this, this, and this." Or what are those things, right? So when you know that, you want to intentionally create that as a part of your brand. This is where your values are going to come into play, because your values are going to be illustrated in this at the moment, right? So this is where, for me, our values are having a nurturing environment. That is huge for me, and high quality standards is huge for me. And then just a brand of excellence. Those are three very, very important things to me. So everything I do is going to be revolving around my mission, right, is to make sure that all children receive, or my vision is all children receive love regardless of their socioeconomic status, and a high quality care and education, right? So the values that stem from that are quality, nurturing, and just excellence, right? And so when I'm looking for people, I'm looking for people that line into that. So you want to know those people who are going to fit into your center, and they're actually really going to make your center a better place, right? They're going to really fit in with you and assimilate into your company's culture. It's not somebody who's going to get in and just kind of be like, I'm sorry, you guys, my son is texting me again and it is just confusing me. So, when we assimilate like this, we want to make sure that they're going to enhance our company culture and they're going to fit in. You don't want somebody coming in that doesn't really fit into our culture, right? So when you're out in the world and when you're looking for employees and you're interviewing and whatever you're doing and however you're trying to attract them, you're basically going to be looking at who is it that's going to really fit in here, right? These are my values. This is how I want my center to look. That person is going to make it happen, right? And so when you're creating your job ads, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure you're putting these things in there so that you're attracting the right people. Because my center is, my values revolve around a loving atmosphere. My philosophy is not one of discipline, but one of guidance, right? I believe in guidance and not discipline for several reasons. Part of it is my psychology degree, and I understand that discipline doesn't really work. And it's just part of it is just who we are. So I know that somebody who is pretty heavy handed, domineering, and who is, they believe that children need to be punished instead of guided, they're not going to fit in at my center because that is not loving and it's not nurturing and it's not neurological based, right? Another big value I have is that everything has to be based on neurological development, on the trajectory that the brain follows, right? So if that is the case, then we really need to make sure that we're finding those people who aren't going to be putting kids in timeout all the time and who are going to try and teach discipline, right? Now, on the other hand, if you believe that children do need to behave, and I say that wrong because our kids actually, it's not that they don't. We actually don't really have major behavior issues because of the way we come at it. But if you believe that children need to be punished and that timeout is an effective form of punishment, then a person working for you would probably not align with me, right? So knowing what you believe is very important, right? I believe that children are all innately good and we need to help teach them how to appropriately be in the classroom. If you believe the children are bad and they need to be punished in order to submit, you're not going to fit into my center, right? You're not going to fit in. You will not be a fit for my center. So those are things you need to know so that you're not hiring the wrong person, right? The other thing that does for you is it opens up a new world of opportunity. Once you have that clear picture of who it is that you really want working in your center, that person who just fits your mold, you're going to start recognizing them when you're out in the world, right? You're going to start really seeing them. And you're really going to start understanding and knowing that this is the person I want working for me. This is the person who they would be amazing on the job at my program. They would be a great fit. So as you get to know these people, you're going to start getting them, you're going to actually start offering them a job instead of waiting for them to come to you. I am a huge believer in recruiting versus hiring, right? Prerna Richards and I were having a conversation last week. If you guys don't know Prerna, she is just an amazing person. I love working with her. Her and I have a collaboration. In fact, her and I have actually teamed up and we are both we both have membership programs that we sell, but we currently teamed up to consolidate our membership program so that my members and her members can actually work with each other as well, right? So we created this entirely new program for our memberships so that her clients and my clients can actually choose to buy into both of us, and it's just one membership, right? Well, Prerna actually messaged me and pointed out to me, she's like, you really do practice what you preach, because that is how Prerna and I started working together. Her and I started a conversation. I realized, wow, we really, really align. You and I philosophically believe all the same things. So we need to work together. And I offered to start this collaboration that we do now, right? I've even gone as far as coaching Prerna on how to be a business coach herself, because she's brilliant and she is the kind of people we want out in the world. And then we join forces and we have a dual membership at this point. So that's basically how I operate in my childcare center too. When I start working and interacting with somebody, or even if it's a Sunday school teacher, right? Or if it's a waitress I see all the time, and they really are just show me that, wow, that person has that thing. They have that it factor that I want at my program. I will offer them a job every single time. I will offer them a job. Yes, waitresses make a lot more money than they can at a childcare center, but how do you know they're happy? How do you know they don't hate their job and they just don't know that there's something out there for them, right? Maybe they're willing to take a 50% pay cut just to have life satisfaction and not hate waking up every morning. It is so important for us to stop focusing on things like how much money we provide, because I want you to think about yourself, right? As ECE leaders, we don't make a whole lot of money. So as an ECE leader, we basically really need to consider, why do you do the work that you do, right? Why is it that you do it for the pay that you do it? It's not about the money, and it isn't for those people we're trying to recruit usually either. So we really need to be in tune with that bigger picture and how we can really just flow and really run with it, right? So let me know if you guys have any questions. In the meantime, I would be happy to answer it. But that is what I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, I will be keeping a check on the comments here. Also, let your concierge know. If you don't have a concierge yet, let us know in the comments so one of my success team members can get with you. So that is what we have for this evening. We will see everybody again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm hoping this is helpful for you guys. I know it's a lot in a little bit of time. Like I said, I usually take 5 days to teach this content, but we're trying to just put it all together. If you guys would like the recordings from the last time that we did this, we are making that available to you guys for about a week. So let your concierge know if you would like the recordings for the full 5-day creative recruiting boot camp, so that we can get that to you. So that is what we've got going for us today. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening.